always think of yourself as a goldfish and you're in a glass bowl, that people are always watching you. And if you are the best you can be, the people will notice you and you will have opportunities.
Mr. Sherrif, thank you so much for being here with me today. As I said before in the email, it's been a pleasure every time I see you. Where what I see in your eyes is kindness each time I engage with you. So it's always nice to have in front of us leaders that inspire us, that really allow us to be ourselves and to flourish within this industry. Thank you so much.
Jorge, it's wonderful to be with you, and you're in one of my favorite cities in the world, and I love Barcelona. But it's wonderful to see you and wonderful to be with you, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Same here. Mr. Sheriff, I was looking into you, and you're a very intriguing guy. Honestly, what I see is a person that's curious around the world, that has had the opportunity to grow within an industry, but those opportunities have shown and you've been able to seize them at right moments. But I wasn't able to really find a lot of information in regards to your youth, in regards to where you come from. You come from Guyana, from British Guyana. I know that you were brought up by your parents, with your parents, and from very humble beginnings. But I would like to hear from you, to tell us, yeah, how was your youth? A little bit about your youth and the experiences that shaped you.
Oh, for sure. Jorge, first, thank you. And again, I'm delighted to be on this program. Um, uh, I was born in South America. Most people don't realize that Guyana is in South America. And it is a country between Brazil and Venezuela. And there's actually three Guyanas. There's a Dutch, there's a French, and there's a British. And most of South America is Spanish, but there's four other languages outside of the native languages that are spoken in South America, and that is Portuguese, Dutch, French, and English. And of course, we have many, many native languages. It's a very small country, and I had a really great childhood. I was brought up on a farm and a cattle ranch, so I'm accustomed to farming. I'm actually more comfortable on a farm than I am in a big city. Um, and I um, and I have really I my parents were farmers, as I said, but they were big on education and having their kids being educated. Um, I my parents actually uh, I am one of a lot of kids, but my parents gave birth to 16 kids.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That is a big family.
Yes. So maybe that's one of the reasons why you haven't heard of a lot of my childhood. But when I was 14 years old, I moved to Canada, and my parents had me move to Canada. Was just to go to different schools and uh, 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 progress in my education. But my childhood was wonderful. As you said, we came from very humble beginnings as farmers. And where I live in South America, frequently my district was flooded because the area is below sea level. And when the sea level water rises, it can easily uh, flood the entire district. And so we had, as kids, you have fun with that. In real life, I would imagine my parents were having just a horrible time because they must have been wondering if we would stay alive and all this sort of stuff. So it was, I, I truly resonate and relate to Latin Americans, especially because our upbringing are pretty much all the same. We have parents that care of a family, and I know that the Spanish feel the same way. But Latin Americans in general and South Americans, family is very important. We have a big family traditions, and we enjoy being together, and we enjoy people. I think my experience in life allows me, because I came from such a different, that I embrace everyone that I see, because that's just, you know, that's how life was. And then I moved to Canada when I was 14, and we can talk a little bit about that when you're ready. But that was the start of my journey, and I'm really proud of my parents. They did not only um, they weren't only farmers, but they built a school in South America for kids that are free to kids, and still to this day, up to grade 8. I don't know how to translate really well in European, but up to grade 8 before you go to high school. And then they also built a medical clinic in the district for anyone in the district that when you're a farmer and you live in a country, there are things like you could get snake bites, and you could things that you don't think about when you live in a big city, but things that, or if someone is having a baby or had a heart attack or something, that you can at least get them treatment until they go to the hospital. And my parents were really believed in giving back to the community. So that's the life I know, and that's maybe helped shape who I am today.
Well, it's really interesting that you say, because I'm originally from Colombia, and what you're saying, it sounds so familiar. My family also grew up on a farm. I didn't grow up on a farm myself. I grew up in a small town. A coffee, mainly the main product that the whole town was making. A lot of just really really humble people, but as you say, you find ways of entertaining yourself, I guess, of staying creative, and that's something that really continues on the way that you engage with people. Also, I wanted to know a little bit, like, what have been those people that you look up to the most and different stages? Because I know you like to read a lot. So in terms of authors.
I read a lot, and there's a lot of people that inspire me from that perspective. But it was everyday people that inspired me, and everyday people that helped me to become successful. I had a boss that told me when a very young age, when I started working for him, and he said to me, "Always think of yourself as a goldfish, and you're in a glass bowl, and consider yourself that people are always watching you. And if you are the best you can, if you do the best you can be, you, people will notice you, and you will have opportunities." And I thought that at a very young age, someone telling me that, to say, "Listen, you can be anything you want to be, but you are in command of that, and you've got to make it happen." And that analogy was very visual to me, very impactful for me, to think of myself as a goldfish, and what that would look like for me in my career, and how people might observe me and think of me and what I do. And I feel that that has really paid off a lot of dividends. My parents also were very interesting people, in the sense that while they believe in education, they believe in humility. And when I say that, I mean that what they felt was, um, y- don't hang around people that are smarter than you, that know more than you. And this, since in any subject, it doesn't have to be business or anything, that knows more than you. In that way, you will be learning,
Mm.
and try to take in as much as possible of what they're saying, instead of you being the one that is speaking all the time. And so that I felt that that was just really good advice for me. As a matter of fact, my parents told me at 5 that that's what I should do. And so it was a very, very young age that I should be around smarter people than myself. And, sometimes that could be bad for your ego. I think if anyone understands what they're saying, is that they want to make you the best person that you could be. So those were ordinary, everyday people that made me. But somebody that, that is famous, that really inspired me personally, was Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, for me, for a guy that was in prison for 25 years, Jorge, think about this. He was it was in a cell block that is so small that I don't know how you keep your mental faculties together. But yet still he came out of the prison with a law degree and he was just incredibly smart. And what I admired about him, if you've ever read the Invictus poem or you've ever seen the movie, what he said, we shall never do to those who we felt did unjustly to us. And that is that we should treat everybody equally and give people a chance. Otherwise, we will never heal the world and we will never be better than those who did unjust to us. And I feel that I think that humans have to live like that. We have got to aspire to be better. We if we are exposed more, we've got to be better. And so I firmly believe that as humans, and especially in the industry that we're in, we have the opportunity um, to play a role that can help people see things that they can't see for themselves. And I don't fault people who discriminate. I don't fault people who say whatever. I sort of say, okay, how can I help to enlighten that person? Because I don't want to judge. I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to enlighten the person. And I think that that's what Nelson Mandela did for me, as in terms of inspiring me. I have the poem Invictus in my briefcase. I read it every morning to inspire me. And and uh, I think, you know, if we live this life and don't leave it in a better place than we found it, then what did we do while we were here? And I think that that would be a real shame and a missed opportunity when we are lying on our deathbed and say that we didn't take advantage of the opportunities we had to help each other, to help others, and to make sure that people can realize their dreams. All of us can have great dreams, and all of us has the potential to be really amazing. And I want everybody to be amazing. By the way, speaking about the fact that you're from Colombia, our convening LATAM or Force Latin American Full-Fledged Conference is going to Bogota this year in May, and I'm so excited about that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an amazing event. Bogota is a really beautiful capital for this type of event, and there's a lot of passionate event professionals in Colombia. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an amazing experience. I wish I could be there.
Yeah, well, we still have time, so we can figure that out.
That's true. That's true. Now, one of the things that really represents the event industry as a whole, and in line with what you're saying of making the world a better place, one of the aspects that usually becomes a challenge in some organizations, it's change. As a leader, how do you embrace change to at the same time be able to bring it down to a whole organization and, as big as PCMA, to make actually things happen?
Yeah. Well, first, I think people focus on change, and we should never focus on change.
Hmm.
Change is every day. Everything we do, we are experiencing different things. But change, when organizations focus on change, I believe that they're not good leaders. I my philosophy is you focus on a vision and outcomes where you're taking people on a journey. You're taking people on where do you want to take them to the promised land, whatever that might be, and paint that picture for them so they can see it, that they can be inspired by it, and they can say, "Wow, I believe in that." When you do that, Jorge, they don't see that as change. They want to be a willing participant on how they get there. And then they are changing without realizing that they're changing. But what happens is leaders tell people that they must change, they must change. I don't tell anyone that they need to change. I want to inspire them to bring the best out of them. And everyone, you know, we are all afraid of changes. We're all afraid about going out of our comfort zone. If we don't think about this, if you don't speak Spanish properly and you're an English speaker, you're embarrassed. If you don't speak English properly and you're a Spanish speaker, you're embarrassed. it's we do these things, and change is hard. So we're focusing on the wrong things. If we focus on where we're taking people, and we're inspiring them to get there, and they realize, and we give them, we instill confidence in them that they can achieve this. You will be amazed what people do. The spirit of the human being is incredible, and I believe in every human that I see. And so I just don't, I think that it's you know, for me, there's no question I want people to change. But speaking about that is not going to make them change.
Mm.
It's about how you go about the journey and inspiring them, that you will get them to change. And so it's the approach, and the approach is very, very important. And setting a vision, if you want to be, PCMA says we want to be the global platform for the business events industry. It's a very lofty goal. But saying that doesn't make it happen. It has to mean something for people. And when we say that PCMA is leading minds, leading change, we mean that these incredible humans from everywhere around this world, but we want to inspire them to do that. So it's just a nuance about how you go about that approach, or that will make it successful. And then you distill that across the organization, or across the world, and sort of say, okay, in the role that you are playing today, this is how you can add value so that we can get to that vision that we say that we're going to be, that business events drive economic good and social good. This is how we're going to get there. We will not get there by telling people that they need to change.
That's super interesting because it kind of resonates with what a previous guest of the show talked about. Caroline Tatika. She has a really big investment company back in Brazil, and she spoke about the theory of change. The way that people approach change is very related with how they embrace at the same time sustainability. Um, when you acknowledge that when you're working on something as big as sustainability, you have to be aiming for the long run. Aiming for the long run means that we have to embrace how things are and be able to commit to our theory of change, our theory of the world that we believe could be better. And that goes very in line with the values that you are fostering within the events industry, from PCMA, of emotional intelligence, sustainability, and orchestrated serendipity, which was a concept that I hadn't heard before, but it seems mesmerizing for me because right now it's coming into my life in different ways, and I found it very interesting, very interesting. So that kind of shapes the organization in a way that aims towards the future in a sustainable way.
Absolutely. And you know we talk about these terms like a VUCA world. And you've heard the term, I'm sure, VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, and so forth. Um, Here's the thing. Um, when our society was built in sort of the legacy business models that we've got today, with fossil fuels and so forth, it's got us to this place. And if we believe that that is not going to sustain us for the future, which I'm one of those believers, and I don't believe that we should denigrate what has gotten us to this place. I believe what we need to do is swim in what I call swim in two lanes. And that is that, how do you build a future and still realize that you need the current to get you until you can actually build a new future? And this new future will be sustainable jobs, will be a regenerative economy, will be higher paying jobs. And so I think that what happens is our words, and words matter. And our words, what it does, it divides us instead of unites us. And so how we approach sustainability in a regenerative economy is is only going to be successful if we realize we still need the fossil fuels and we still need the legacy societies. Jorge, if I think about it, if you think back more than 100 years ago, when humans were moving from a horse and carriage to the car, and if you think of how that transition must have been in society, it must have been incredibly disruptive. Because imagine we didn't have gas stations and roads and paved roads, and we didn't have tires for cars and all these sort of things that, and people had to gain the knowledge and all this sort of stuff. Think of how disruptive if you all your life was betting on more horses, and that's how transportation was going to be done. I
Mm.
think that it would have been incredibly so we're going through the same type of cycle again, but it's a different environment. And if anything we have learned is that we cannot disparage. We've got to understand that we've got to coexist until we completely transition into a new economic future.
If we were having this conversation in about 10 years from now, how do you see the industry and how do you see your work? How do you hope to see it?
Well, 10 years from now, I will tell you what will happen is that what from all the studies we're seeing what I call the generation now. So if you look at the the baby boomers and the Gen X's, there will be a very small portion of the workforce, very small. Actually, 5 years from now, there will only be 25% of the workforce, and it will be all millennials and Gen Z or Gen Z
Mhm.
be in the workforce. They will be 75% of the workforce. They will be coming in with different lenses and different thinking. And certainly, you know, there are a few things that are going to change the way we work. One is going to be AI, which is here today. AI has been around a long, long time, more than 50 years. But today we're talking about it because it's really being used in every day of operationalizing, optimizing our productivity and so forth in business. I think what you will see as in terms of uh, how events are done and how we achieve the outcomes of events is that you're going to see a much more seamless integration of technology in events that enhances engagement and that young people are going to make choices on what is valuable to them. And the things that are providing value that actually aligns with their values is what they are going to do. And the organizations, the events that are not providing value, um, it, in my generation, you went to things because it was polite to go to it, not because you were necessarily getting the value. Well, younger people are a lot more assertive. And what you will see is that people who are not providing value and are not living to their values will fall to the wayside. And so I am very encouraged. I actually think that events are going to play an even greater role as human beings. Jorge, I strongly believe that human beings need each other. It is what breaks down barriers. It's what builds common understanding.
Mm.
And it is what, regardless of how differing your opinions are, it allows you to appreciate where the other person is coming from. So I'm very bullish that 10 years from now, events are going to be strong and robust around this world. Uh, I strongly believe that technology and AI will influence and sustainability uh, in a more fundamental, foundational way. I also believe inclusivity, where it harnessing whether it's people from the LGBT community or different ages or different religions and so forth. I think that events are going to be designed in a way, especially the way younger generation, designed in a way that are making people uh, feel more included and that they belong and they can actually contribute to the success of the event. So I am, I'm looking forward to um, that transformation because I believe that's what events are designed to do. They are designed to solve issues economically, but they're also designed to socially, and of course in healthcare and so forth. So this is really promising for me.
It sounds really, really, really amazing, and oh, it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, at least for my generation. I'm a millennial, I'm from 93. And looking around, on one side, I feel excited for all the technology that's coming in, all the innovation that's going in. Um, and on the other side, I feel that the speed that at which is coming in, it's a little bit faster to understand things in in the applicable sense in how they're moving forward on a day-to-day basis. But something that really calms me down is that I am being aware, and I'm noticing that as humans we're connecting more, we're engaging more. We're seeing the need of actually putting down our phones, putting down our computers, and saying, we have to go to an event to connect. We have to meet this person. We have to be there and be able to be with each other. And that's something that really gives me a lot of hope, and that I'm really hoping that in the future it also, continues strengthening, just as you said. We have um a tradition here in which our speakers leave a question for the next guest. So my last guest was Mr. David Peckinpah. Um, the question that he left was, what are you going to do to make an impact this year on an issue that's important to you?
Right. Um, well, an issue that's really important to me is is sustainability. It I do believe that there's a lot of noise of a lot of things, but I do think that um, there is no future for the human race without us having a planet that we can live on. And so for me, that is about having a regenerative economy, and that is why I am very committed to bringing every aspect, every aspect of the value chain in the business events industry. This is airline, this is hotels, this is PCOs, this is event organizers, these are convention centers. Yeah, the people that make the trade show stands, not the ones that assemble them, but actually makes them. So every part of the value chain. And let's look at our business practices. Let's look at how we stage events and see what role we are going to play so that we can show leadership and show that we are taking our environment seriously. So Jorge, is a movement that we've started called Convene for Climate. It started in Barcelona last year. We are continuing this year round, and we are putting a lot of energy behind it because we are so committed to the fact that um, business events could easily be considered one of the reasons why we have climate change, and we have to step in front of it and do the right things. So that's what I would say. I'm committed to that. I'm committed to convene for climate and the movement and to get the right stakeholders at the table and make them commit with real KPIs so that we can achieve the necessary things that we need to achieve in our industry, um, and um, and not do the things um, that 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 is not benefiting the climate.
Great. Well, shout out to Mr. David for
Yeah.
such a nice question. He's a very good friend of yours, very close friend. And it's been amazing to have you over, Mr. Sheriff. And I really, really look forward to the next time that I get to see you in person. I hope to have these conversations more often and with great leaders like you and yourself. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun being with you, Jorge, and I'm looking forward to the next time as well.